Hello, welcome to this beautiful setting with these beautiful blooming sunflowers. I'm Roger, and welcome to Meditation, Mindfulness, in Nature. So, the definition that I like to use for mindfulness is bringing our attention, our awareness, or a focus to our breath, to our emotions, to our thoughts, to our senses, to our surroundings. Also, bringing attention to our judgments while staying in the present moment and letting the moment that just happened pass. One way to explore mindfulness, to practice mindfulness, is to explore an object, mostly using our senses. And while we explore the object, we can pay attention to what thoughts or emotions do we have. So this is a sunflower taken from the crop right here behind me. This one, and when he mowed it, this one got knocked over, so I picked it. And what we're going to do is we're going to explore this sunflower with our senses. But first, I'm going to do just a little breathing exercise. You're welcome to do it also. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pay attention to my breath, and try to take, I'll maybe do 5 deeper breaths. If you're comfortable, you're welcome to do it also. I invite you to. Something was biting my foot, and I was aware of it. If you'd like to continue to do this practice with me, feel free to pause the video and get a flower or some other object that you can explore. It could be anything at hand: remote control, a pen, a piece of food, a toy, a figurine that you like, some trinket or knickknack that you have, anything. We can do mindfulness with anything. I'm going to use a sunflower right now. And so first, we usually start with looking at it. And we're not looking at it as a gardener. We're not looking at it as a botanist. We're not looking at it as a poet. We're looking at it just to observe, to look for all the details that we can see. And I have my glasses on so I can see more details and describe them. And we're looking to explore this sunflower probably more than you've ever explored a sunflower before. So, to start with, obviously the yellow stands out. And I notice the outer petals, and if I look at them closely, they have some ridges and lines that run lengthwise in them. They kind of round at the end, they're wider in the middle. There's a few that are a little bit brown. They're also richer colored in the center at where they come in to the center of the flower. Then in the center of the flower, there's some grayish brown parts and then some yellow parts more in the center. Hopefully you can see that. And I can just notice it. I don't have to identify what parts of the flower there are. I don't have to think about what their purpose is. I just notice that there's this, and underneath them, below them, is some greenish yellow. So that's kind of looking at the front of this. Now I can turn to the back. Here's the stem where I just cut it. There's little white hairs on it. I can see little white fuzzies. There's a couple of small leaves left. They've got some yellowish green and some brown. Here's a piece of grass that was just stuck in it. As I come up the stem is round. And as I come up to the back of the flower, it has these leaves that make the head. I don't know if they're really leaves, but I'm going to call them leaves, that I can see. And they're really quite beautiful how I mean, they kind of look like an artichoke. They're they're wide and then they taper in quickly and come to a little point. There's 3 layers of them. They go all around. They have some little brown spots on them. And then I see the back of the petals. The back of the petals are, of course, quite yellow. I can see the ridges and the lines in those. If I hold this up to the light, oh, it's quite pretty. Even though it's a cloudy, overcast day, holding this up to get some light through it changes the yellowness versus when I have it down here. I get that light through it. So I visually explore this. Next sense that we use is touch. And touching the petals, one thing when you're exploring a flower is if it's making pollen, pollen can have really strong color in it, and you choose whether you want to get on your fingers or get it on your face. So when you're touching flowers, be aware of the part that makes the pollen or the dust, because that can be a really strong color. So I start to touch it. The petals are pretty soft. If I get to just one, I can feel the ridges in the petal. I'm going to feel the center part where it's kind of gray-brown. It's soft, a little bit cushiony. Nothing on my fingers yet. And I'm going to touch this part, the center where it's yellow. No pollen, because I think this flower is still young. But that would have been where I could have gotten pollen. The yellow parts, they're a little bit softer and flexible compared to this outer part. And go back to the stem. The end is stiff. The stem overall is stiff. I can feel the roughness of those hairs and ridges on the stem. These leaves are fairly stiff, much stiffer than the petals. And that was a comparison, just being aware of my thoughts. And the leaves, when I get to this one, it has some softness to it. This one's a little more rigid. And then I get to these back parts of the flower, and those little tips are flexible. It's fairly firm here. As I touch this is pretty firm. Those are flexible, but the whole core or the center of it is quite rigid and strong. There's mass there. And from touching, I can then smell it. It has a little bit of smell, but not a lot. I'm not sure. I've not smelled sunflowers much. I'm not sure what it's just a faint smell. It does. Actually, the back smells more than the front, and actually the back is the smell. The back has the smell that I was smelling on the front of the flower. So I can explore it with smell. It makes just the slightest bit of sound, not much. I'm not going to taste it. So we just explored the sunflower. And while I was doing that, I really didn't have a lot of other thoughts because I had my focus, my attention on exploring this flower in great detail. And if you wanted to, I'm going to take this home and put it in a vase. And if you have flowers, you might want to put them in a vase. But another thing you can do with a flower is you could now just slowly take it apart and like ripping off little bits of petal, pulling the petals. When you get the petals done, there'll be the center part, and take that apart. You can take the leaves apart. And you don't have to, but that's just another way to do a little bit more meditation and exploring with a flower. So thank you for attending, for watching. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them in the comments. If you have any request of something you'd like to see me do mindfulness with, put that in. If you found this helpful, let me know. Thank you for watching, and take care.